Hey guys, welcome to a weekly story time. If you like these videos, definitely give this video a like, subscribe if you're not already, and if you want bonus content and a way to support what we're doing here, a link to our Patreon is down below, so definitely check it out if you're interested. On this week's story time, I'm going to be talking about maintenance, and specifically a recent maintenance spanking that I had, and some changes that we've made to our maintenance, and why those things have been bringing some positive results for us. In the past, the reason we started incorporating maintenance was to essentially act as stress relief. It was stress management, and that is definitely one function of maintenance. But what I have found is that now that our systems are really solid, now that we have very high standards, very good structure, a lot of consistency in upholding that structure and the accountability within it, I am not getting as stressed as I have in the past. I'm not needing that stress relief through maintenance because the security of having a really solid accountability system with punishment is bringing a lot of security and is helping me regulate my stress so much better. So because I didn't need the stress relief aspect of maintenance, Koda was finding that how he was approaching maintenance, I just wasn't connecting with, and I wasn't getting a lot out of that process. We were kind of just going through the motions. So it started to become something that we were really starting to evaluate. How is this going to work in our relationship? Is this even really necessary in our relationship anymore? And as we were thinking through it and talking through it, we do still see the value of having maintenance, but we needed to completely shift away from the primary goal of maintenance to be stress management, because that wasn't a necessity of what we needed anymore and of what I needed. And so we started to look at what can we do for maintenance and what is the primary goal of using maintenance now. And so we talked through it, and we realized that the primary goal of us using maintenance in our relationship is to maintain our roles and to maintain mindsets. The biggest difference between maintenance and punishment for us now is the length of the spanking itself. He still goes through all of the steps. He still goes through all of the processes. He uses all of the implements. But the biggest difference is the length of the spanking. And I do still think that he makes punishment slightly more intense, although maintenance has become more intense recently, and that's what I'm going to talk through today. Our previous maintenance spankings, after we made the shift, he was using less intensity than a punishment, and what we found kind of by accident is that having a higher intensity, almost matching punishment level intensity, is actually more beneficial to our maintenance system. And the way we kind of found that out by accident is that I had earned a correction one week and he used a different implement. It just didn't have the same lasting effect. And so I came to him and was like, look, I know that I took the correction. I really tried to learn from it, but because it didn't have the same effect, I'm having a hard time regulating myself. I'm having a hard time feeling like I can move on from that because I just didn't have the same effect of that correction that I normally experience. And so he agreed. And so I asked him, during maintenance, can you maybe up the intensity, make it closer to punishment level intensities, but with maintenance timing? He agreed to that. He thought that that was a great idea to rectify what had happened before and to be able to use maintenance in a way to not have to completely redo that correction, but just kind of process through and use maintenance to do that. And so when he did that, the maintenance spanking was so intense, but it really did work, and it helped it helped me regulate, it helped me maintain my headspace, and it's really helped me avoid punishment and avoid correction going forward. And so that's kind of how we accidentally landed on more intense maintenance is actually better for me. And so what we do for maintenance is we still use our zone system. We talked about this in the episode where we describe the difference between punishment and correction. We talk about our zone system. And so for us, we have like 4 zones, and it's basically where he is focusing the spanking in that moment. And so for punishment, our zones are 2 minutes each. For maintenance, they're 1 minute. So the length is significantly shorter. He basically just cuts everything in half. And so if you've listened to that episode and you hear us talk through kind of like the base structure of our punishments, if you cut all of that in half, that is now our maintenance. And so for this maintenance, I really didn't know kind of what to expect. Because it was something that was new. The intensity was going to be new for maintenance. And typically when I'm going into a punishment, my mindset is already kind of primed for punishment. And for maintenance, I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be like focusing on. I don't know, like, obviously I can focus on my role. I can focus on my submission. I can focus on, you know, what I need to do in my relationship, but I need to be guided through that focus a little bit more, where with a punishment, I know what I did, I know what I need to be focusing on, I know kind of that process I need to go through. And so I was kind of nervous going into this maintenance. It seems kind of silly because I've been spanked before. I've been spanked at this intensity before, but it was just a little different. And so that kind of unknown factor made me a little nervous. And so I got into position. He started the timer. He uses a timer to make sure that he is that 1 minute is a true 1 minute. And he went through the zones. Super intense. Typically during punishment, we have a 30-second break. Typically during maintenance, that is also cut in half to a 15-second break. And after the second zone, I did ask him, I was like, can I have a little bit more of a break? Because it is maintenance, because I am still kind of processing some feelings, because I was carrying some emotional baggage from that correction not going well and feeling like I wasn't exactly rectified in my relationship. I was carrying a lot of like kind of hidden feelings, and it wasn't stress. It was just kind of this emotional process that I didn't really get to go through after the correction, because again, the correction just didn't go the way it was supposed to go. And so I know, like, going through this process brought a lot of that out. And so I needed time to process through all of those feelings. I needed time to cry, basically. And so I asked if I could have a little bit of a longer break. He obliged. He said that was okay. So I was able to take kind of a minute to just cry, because most taken in hands, they can cry through spanking, and that is perfectly fine. I have chronic allergies, and it is the height of my allergy season here in the South. And so I can't breathe. Basically, if I am crying while simultaneously being spanked, I have a very, very hard time breathing. And Coda knows that. He makes allowances for that. That's why we take those breaks, because I need to be able to catch my breath. I need to be able to slow my breathing down in between being spanked. I also need to be able to cry and go through that process, and then be able to slow my breathing down so that I can go through the spanking part and not lose my ability to breathe, basically. And so he gave me time so that I could cry, process, get my breathing regulated to go through the rest of maintenance. So he worked through all 4 zones. And again, I just took some time to cry after he did that. I was already starting to feel so much better. He took our long paddle and gave me the 10 swats with that, because again, it's half of punishment. And so and he gives those very hard. It's a lot to take, but it was what I needed in that moment. It was what I needed for maintenance. It's almost like I need to know that he, and this is what I mean by maintaining headspace and maintaining roles, is I need to know that I don't get to have an opinion mid-spanking of how he's delivering the spanking. And that's part of me practicing my submission, because in the past, I would try to give a lot of feedback during the spanking, and that's just not productive. That's not something that is conducive of my role and my position as a taken in hand. Now, the only caveat to that, the only exception, is if I think that something is happening that is either dangerous or crossing a limit, if I think that my skin has broken, or if I think that something is landing in a space that is not intended, that could potentially cause issues, then I'm allowed to bring that to his attention. But I don't get to have an opinion on how the spanking's going, how many he gives, how hard they are delivered. And that is part of maintenance, is not having, is to stifle the temptation to ask him to go lighter, or ask him to cut it short, or really give any feedback in that way at all. I have to practice not letting my mind even go there. And it's gotten a lot easier. I don't even think about it anymore. Where in the past I was always trying to figure out, how can I negotiate in this moment to kind of get out of this? And that's just not helpful. And Coda needs to know that he is completely in charge. And so that's part of him giving the spanking, is to know that he has the authority and the ability to give that spanking however he wants, however he feels is necessary. And so he gave those 10 swats. And then he does use the cane for maintenance as well. And again, he just uses it for half the length of what a punishment would be. So for punishment, it's 30 on each side. For maintenance, it's 15. And he doesn't go as quickly as he does for the timed zones, but he does deliver the cane strokes pretty quickly. For this maintenance, he went a lot harder with the cane than he has in the past, and it was so much more effective. I asked him afterwards how he felt like it went, and he said that by my reaction and by my response, he knew that he was doing what he needed to do. And that he felt very satisfied in that. He felt satisfied that he was delivering an effective spanking, that he was actually helping me. And that is the right motivation for a head of household to have, that he was helping me by doing what he needed to do, what he agreed to do within his role. It was helping me, and he felt a level of satisfaction from that process. And I'm so glad that he feels that. I'm so glad that he gets that satisfaction from fulfilling his role, because it makes me feel like this is reciprocal. It is something that he gets something from this relationship, just like I do. I know so many times in the past I have felt like he is doing this for me, but it doesn't serve him in any capacity. And I'm realizing more and more that that's not the case, that it really does serve him and fulfill him to be within his role, just like it serves me and fulfills me to be within my role. And we are really working in this relationship together to have positive outcomes. And so that was maintenance. Our aftercare for that maintenance spanking was a lot more extensive than it has been in the past, because this was more intense than it has been in the past. And so I did, need that time with him to lay on him, to cry, to cuddle, to hear him affirm my role and affirm, just affirm my efforts. And so that was really, really nice as well, is that we had that time together for him to really make sure that we were good. We were in a good place again. Like I said, since that maintenance, I have not had a single correction. I have not had a single punishment. I really haven't even needed him to step in and offer any type of direction or any type of authoritative action, because I'm in such a good headspace now. Because that maintenance was what it was, it really did a fantastic job of maintaining our relationship, maintaining our roles, and maintaining our dynamic through the week. And I'm not looking forward, because I know that it's going to be an intense and painful process, but I'm really looking forward to going through maintenance again, because I think that it will give me the same sense of connection and the same sense of purpose and drive within my relationship. And it really will help me avoid those disciplinary actions through the week. And so that's the part I'm looking forward to. I'm not looking forward to the actual spanking, because it's not enjoyable. It's not fun. It's not something that I want to have to go through. But the outcomes and the benefits outweigh the temporary discomfort of going through it. So anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed that story time. I hope that that made you think about how are you using maintenance, and is that really serving your relationship the best way it can? And if it's not, maybe you need to shift and change some things to make it fit better. So anyway, we will talk to you guys next time.